Greetings, Star Trek Fleet Commanders. I am the Angry Rhino. Please like and subscribe to the channel. So, what's going on right now, this long holiday weekend for most of us in the US anyway? A whole lot of anything, I guess. In my opinion, there are a few events up. There's a Thanksgiving Day event, banquet, feast up featuring Neelix, which it's okay. I don't think a lot of the event store packages are that good. They're okay, I guess. For relatively easy events, I mean, I'll go with it. I think the rewards do kind of fit the ease of the event, not that the rewards are really that good. What I really don't like, and was kind of hoping to do a video centered around Thanksgiving Day events, but I don't really like the events this long weekend, so I'm going to go a little different thing. I don't like the Armada event. I don't like that it's only regular Armadas. You can't do solos. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points to be putting up for 15-minute Armadas. Okay, yeah, you can do some of the Cardassian ones. All right. But, I mean, come on now. Ortega's in there? No. Not with all this isolytic bullshit that the creators decided to put into this game. Strike Team Lana's captain? Sure, fine. She's the captain. Shax has got to be in there now because of the isolytic damage. Who are you kicking out? Are you kicking out Strike Team Una or Strike Team Ortegas? You're not kicking out Una, okay? She's too good. She's staying in there. So Strike Team Ortegas is out. So therefore, the rewards for this heroic SMS that's ridiculously high isn't that good. It would be much better if it was Una. Or maybe even Shax instead of Lon. But that's not what they did, so that's on them. They can make it seem like, oh, this is a great event and these are great rewards, and it's like, who's telling you this? You're listening to the wrong person. You're listening to the wrong content creator that you invite out to California all the time and apparently loves everything you do now. I'm a little frustrated about that, so I need to not have a rant video. Let's get into what I actually want to do today. Justing fire a little bit. I did promise a demonstration of Picard and Data, the new versions of Picard and Data. I'm not going to call them Miss Picard and Miss Data because that just sounds silly. We're going to call them the movie versions of Jean-Luc Picard and Data. I guess. I don't even know. As you can see by the system and the notification that just popped up, I am in the Texas class systems. Now, I know not everybody has the Monavine, but there is sourcing for it. It is rather difficult sourcing. You have to have one of the 3-star territories that does have the Monavine in it, because not all of them do, because that would make too much sense. So I do have them on. Let me hit a few here. I have done 2 other runs with a few of the other crews I have used for these Texas class hostiles. I did choose to do these Monavine hostiles because I was already doing it. And I know there's a lot of isolytic damage research that I have done that's associated with this Monavine, so we'll kind of demonstrate them better, which is what I said I would do. And as I'm trying to get by myself time here to set up what I'm in the middle of trying to do here, since I am in this Texas class system, let me give you a refresher on how to stop your little chaser man. Send to a spot. It's way far away from you. hit the recall, then hit cancel, and watch your chaser go. Now don't move. Don't move your ship yet. Some instances, you can move right now anyway, but do you think it's better to wait until your little chaser guy, Blinky, and we call him Blinky because you see, got the rings around here pulsing like blinking. And he'll stop, and you see how he stops blinking. So, Blinky. I've only hit a few hostiles with each of these crews that I use or have used in the past. Let's just, again, this is just a demonstration. I'm not getting a calculator out. I'm not going to do all these number calculations of why or when you should use Picard and Data because of isolytic damage. I'm just going to show you what they have been doing against these hostiles and compare them to some of the other crews. Now, this tactic anyway should apply to most of the new hostiles. Let's even say the Voyager hostiles and even some freebooters, because of the number of shots they do. All your Hirogen and your Bag of Dicks, they all shoot lots of weapons per round, which is important to notice, weapons per round. Though, I think Picard is your weapons, right? Each time you hit a target, what is Data? Data is just in general, but I do have Hue below deck, which you do want the extra critical hits, and that is from you getting shot, will help Gorkon here, and you'll get more hull breaching. So let's take a look here. You can see it's only lasting 2 rounds, so it's not a whole lot, but can see the isolytic numbers. See, here's Data. He just activates. Boom, here's my first salvo of Monavine. You see I only got 21.9 million isolytic damage, 23.7 million regular damage. So I'm pretty close to 100%, right? Then you see Hue activate and you see Picard activate here. Scrolling down. You see 94.5, 92.8. That is a little bit of an increase. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. You see there's about 2 million difference here, and then there's 1.7 million difference, I guess. Hue activating again, so is Picard. And then here we go. You take a look at this last shot. Difference is going the other way. As in, my isolytic damage is now, what is that? 5.5 million more than my regular damage. So you can see the increase in isolytic. So you almost think that Picard is kind of working like Hue. You get hit a bunch, Hue's going to activate a bunch and give you more critical hits. Well, Picard, if you're hitting a lot, you're going to, I'm trying to say it's the same principle. It's not exactly working right. I know it's different between you getting shot and you shooting a lot, but it is the same principle in longer in the battle, we'll get more stacks of this stuff, whether it be crit chance or isolytic. Because in Picard's case, it's cascade, not just isolytic damage. And now we keep scrolling. Here's the final. I'm hitting relatively low here just because I just want to, again, demonstrate what it's doing. But you can see here, not a huge increase for this one, but look at this critical hit, this huge increase on this critical hit. I mean, that's more than 20 million. No, it's not. Oh, it's almost 20 million. What is that, like 15 million? Sure, we'll call it 15 million difference. Again, there is a bit of an increase here. Now, One of the downsides, at least running Picard and Data right now, is who's your defensive officer. You can see right here, this Texas class hostiles hit me with 1.8 million damage. I'm only mitigating 1.2. I don't have max mitigation. It is harder to get this max mitigation with this crew. Not that, say, running 5 isn't as hard because she's only got 200%. But I do have, try to tell who I have below deck. You see Hugh, and you see War's almost over. That is Tom Paris, and that is 250% of your officer defense. So I have Hugh, Paris, Marcus, and then Grush. I did Grush instead of Kirk because I wanted more health to round out my crew bonuses. That's just me. If you want to go solely for the defense, you do that, but I would like a little more hull. So that is something you have to try to figure out. Potentially, you could take your Hull Breacher and Gorkon off the bridge, and you could put Next Generation Rare Beverly on the bridge for your mitigation, and let's say drop B'Elanna below deck. But I didn't do that. I had B'Elanna somewhere else. So it is one of the reasons why I want to tell you this. You can have 2 potential loot grinding crews for these damn loops, right? Especially with this Monavine one, you can slap, let's say, Picard and Data on here. Just send them out to, auto farm, which is a good thing about this Monavine grind. You can do a lot of the loot grinding passively, so to speak. You don't have to be there actively clicking. So you can go grind out with the Monavine, and then you can go grind out Voyager shit with 5, or Freebooter shit, or ship parts of some kind. So let's take a look at one of these 5-led crews. Another crew that I like here is 5 Gorkon Janeway. Janeway for more isolytic cascade. Like I said, the Monavine has researches for this. You can see over here, 1.6 on the shot I'm taking, 1.1 mitigated. Still not at max mitigation. Though I'm not losing too much because I think I have a little bit better health officers than defense officers. Maybe, anyway. Take a look at the damage done here. 24.1 million and then 22.2 million on the isolytic. So relatively the same as what Picard and Data were doing initially. But as we scroll down, you see that the isolytic damage never overtakes the regular damage. Now again, I'm punching low, so the battle still didn't last that long. But what is the difference between these 2 crews? Now, yes, the result, hostile is still being killed in 2 rounds, but relatively the same amount of mitigation. Relatively the same amount of loot gain. Yeah, I do have a tier 4 or 5, so it's only 80%. With Picard and Data, it is 100%. So maybe a little bit more loot gain with just your bridge officers. While increasing your damage, you can see how much damage I'm actually missing out on this last shot. More than 50 million damage, right? Well, right, because this is 12 million below, and this is also 13 million below. So it's like, yeah, we'll call it 50 million. It is kind of relative. If you get a critical hit, it's going to be a lot more. If you don't get a critical hit, it's going to be a little less. But that does emphasize the good part of Hugh. Now, as I didn't have any piercing officer on, you notice what the Texas class hostile is mitigating here. On 170 million shot, he's mitigating 120 million of that. On this 150 million shot, he's mitigating 106 million of that. Didn't look at that with this one, but it should be relatively the same. You see that this 159 million shot here, he's mitigating 113. Not going to worry about the isolytic because that shouldn't be mitigated still, I think. It is slightly confusing how they're doing the defense of this isolytic damage, but even if it is reduced a little bit, it's far less than how mitigation is calculated. So you can see that we're 113 on about 159. So let's go to another option. If I can find this option. 5 Marcus Gorkon. Marcus, because of the mitigation of the hostiles, you do want to negate that if possible. I mean, if it's not because, you're out of bridge slots, then it's not a huge deal, especially if you're countering it with more isolytic damage or cascade. But you can see here how much less isolytic damage I'm doing. I'm doing a good bit less. Therefore, less hull damage. But, and let's scroll all the way down because that's where the shots are going to get big. Oh, well, you can see it did last. The battle actually did last longer. Let me find. Here's a 156 million shot. You can see how instead of mitigating, 113 million, I'm mitigating 74 million. So that is 39 million, roughly. That is 39 million that is going to either go to the shields or the hull or both. In this case, the shields are actually gone on this hostile, so it is going to the hull. But again, really, this is just me trying to demonstrate some of the other crews you can use while grinding all these dumbass loops. So, to sum up here, for grinding some of these new hostiles, like, say, your Texas class hostiles or all the different dumbass hostiles in the Voyager loop, you can run 5 as captain with Gorkon. Obviously, you want Hugh below deck with your, say, a piercing officer on the bridge. Or you can run, maybe this is a little better way to go because of the isolytic damage not being mitigated, if at all. Maybe a little bit. 5 Janeway Gorkon. And you can use Lorca if you have Lorca. If you have B'Elanna below decks, you can use B'Elanna below decks. You can use Picard Data. And I know not exactly happy with the way the spend SMSs are going, but should be the third one running tomorrow. Now, I know some of the milestones are high, but few opportunities this month to get some of these shards for Picard and Data. I actually have a tier 2 Data, and hopefully I can get Picard to tier 2 tomorrow. Or this weekend, I guess, not necessarily tomorrow. We'll see. Because I do see the value in a loot officer that is adding a lot of damage, especially to some of these hostiles that shooting you a lot. You get your Hue to activate, but if you can have a lot of weapons, like say the Monovine or even Borg Cube, Excuse me. That is a lot of weapons. I don't really like the loop, but it's an option. Though Picard's not really helping you gain loot there. From what I can tell, Picard doesn't help with gaining loot from the laser beam, which is kind of silly that they were releasing in the same month. That one isn't going to work with the other. However, but it adds another loop. So what we got to do is we got to find a way to grind some of these loops easier. Having 2 sets of loop gaining crews could help that. Picard and Data are going to help that. Now I'm saying Picard Data because Data adds synergy, and that's how you go from 60% base with Captain Picard, or Captain Picard as captain. Throw Data on the side, get another 40%. Hopefully next month, we'll get the mitigation officer here, and that'll be even better. Because then you can run the 3 of them with B'Elanna below deck, and that will be fantastic. Maybe even get over 100% loot. That'd be awesome, right? Hopefully that's coming next month. But just so maybe a little bit more emphasis on why the Monavine could be good for you. 3-star territory battles are Saturdays, also happening tomorrow. While having another loot gain grind crew, you can send one out, say with the Monavine, to auto grind, and use one manually. So therefore grinding 2 loops at the same time. Or if you got 2 ships that you can grind on the same loop with, send them both out at the same time. Dual wielding, like I like to say. And maybe instead of only being able to go and get 1 run at a time, you're technically doing 2 runs at a time because you can use 2 ships with 2 loot gain crews. So hopefully you got enough materials to be able to spend this weekend and at least unlock these 2 officers. Comment below. Have you gained either one of these officers? Picard or Data, the new ones for this month. How are you liking them? Have you been using 2 loot gain grind crews? And while, yes, we don't really like new loops, does this help change your mind that potentially we really have 2 loot gain grind crews? Be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Angry Rhino. Shields up, Commanders.